All right, welcome to this explainer. If you're tuning in, you're probably hunting for a real, tactical, zero-fluff survival kit for stepping into a project management role. We're going to completely skip the heavy academic theory today and just jump straight into the practical, step-by-step implementation you actually need to survive and, hopefully thrive as a brand new PM. So grab a notepad and let's get right into it.
Okay, so picture this. It's day one. You've finally got the title, but walking into that unknown, usually pretty chaotic environment, yeah, it can be totally overwhelming. Suddenly you're staring down complex timelines, massive budgets, and a room full of people you barely know. So how do you actually take control? Well, we're going to break all that chaos down into a step-by-step tutorial loaded with actionable tools you can literally start using right now.
Think of this explainer as your personal bootcamp syllabus. We'll be walking sequentially through 4 critical phases. Step 1, align the team. Step 2, track project progress. Step 3, ensure quality assurance. And Step 4, resolve team conflicts.
So step 1, align the team. As a new PM, your absolute first step actually isn't handing out deadlines or writing code. Your very first move is organizing your resources and making absolutely sure everyone is looking in the exact same direction.
Imagine a single boat guiding a whole fleet of others through choppy waters. That's essentially your core responsibility at the starting line. You're guiding a diverse crew toward one single, unified product vision without letting anybody drift off course or get lost at sea. It's all about establishing that shared understanding right out of the gate.
To systematically build that alignment, you can use a classic 3-step Agile framework. First up is align. This is where you hammer out the overarching vision, the main goal, and basic team agreements. Step 2 is prepare, where you actually build, estimate, and prioritize that product backlog. And Step 3 is deliver, transforming all those requirements into actual, valuable, tested software.
Now, to pull off that middle prepare phase, you've got to break your grand vision down into really granular, manageable chunks. In the Agile world, this brings us to the task. It's basically the lowest unit of work tracked in Scrum. Think of it like this. Every user story will have a bunch of individual tasks, and a task should be something that one single team member can actually knock out. It's literally how you turn a massive, intimidating project into doable, daily work.
Moving right along to Step 2, track project progress. Your team is aligned, the work is kicked off, and now you hit your next hurdle. How on earth do you communicate progress to the rest of the company without just drowning your stakeholders in irrelevant details?
Well, surprisingly enough, the best tool for this job is often good old Microsoft PowerPoint. I know, you'd think Word or Excel would be the go-to for reporting, right? But PowerPoint is super accessible across Office 365, and its landscape format totally maximizes screen real estate for monitors. But here's the real kicker. Its fixed page size naturally forces brevity. You literally can't just endlessly scroll, so it forces you to think about what actually matters to your reader and get straight to the point.
Right at the top of that report, you'll want to drop in a red, amber, green, or RAG health score table. This lets you visually identify the exact pulse of the project across major components like your plan, costs, scope, and resources. That way, stakeholders can just glance at it and instantly know, hey, do I need to be worried right now?
Right below that, you need to draw a hard line between what was just finished, your previous period deliverables, and what's coming up next. And this is crucial. If any of those RAG components we just talked about are flashing red or amber, you have to highlight your return to green actions, like what exact steps are being taken to rescue those slipping deadlines or budget overruns. You can't just flag a problem, you have to show the fix.
To wrap up the report, structure a really simple risk and issue matrix at the bottom. You detail the issue, lay out the mitigation plan, but, and this is a big one, always make sure you list an owner. Someone has to be directly, personally accountable for resolving each issue, because honestly, without an owner, risks just sit there on the page, gathering dust. All right, Step 3, ensure quality assurance. You've got the team aligned, your status reports are looking sharp, but now you actually have to verify the work being done. And that brings us to technical quality assurance.
So, the million-dollar question, does the live build actually match the agreed-upon design? A massive friction point in almost any web or software project is finding out the final product looks absolutely nothing like those gorgeous mock-ups your designers spent weeks on. Catching those little discrepancies by eye is incredibly tedious, which is exactly why smart visual QA tools are about to become your new best friend.
To bridge that incredibly frustrating gap between your design team and your developers, we can look to tools like Pixelay. It's a pretty straightforward process. First, you just install the Pixelay plugin over in Figma. Then, you paste your live production website URL right into the app. And finally, upload your designs. It automatically spins up a custom web app link that perfectly aligns the viewports of your designs directly over the live website.
And once you're in that comparison view, it's kind of a game changer. By using features like diff mode to catch really subtle changes, or just dragging the opacity overlay slider back and forth, you can instantly spot if a developer's margins or typography are just slightly out of whack. There's even an exact pixel measurement tool to see exactly how far off the build is, way before the client ever lays eyes on it.
Which brings us to our final phase, Step 4, resolve team conflicts. Because hey, technical tools, slick frameworks, and neat slide reports are fantastic, but at the end of the day, projects are built by human beings. And that introduces the inevitable, messy challenge of managing people.
Think of your team as a wild, complex mix of different shapes, colors, and sizes. Everyone has their own unique personality, their own work style, and their own priorities. When you toss all those different working styles together into a pressure cooker of tight deadlines, yeah, friction is literally unavoidable.
Let's look at a real-world clash straight from a Thrive LDN workshop source. Picture this. Alex wants tasks distributed perfectly equally among the team to balance the workload and help people develop new skills. But Sarah, she completely disagrees. She believes tasks should be assigned strictly based on individual expertise to maximize efficiency. Honestly, they both make really solid points. But as the PM, you are staring down a classic operational stalemate.
When you step in to mediate a clash like that, you've got to read the room and intentionally deploy one of 5 specific resolution styles. Sometimes you just have to compromise. Or, if the timeline is critically tight, you might have to lean into a competing style and just make the hard call yourself. But ideally, whenever possible, you're aiming for collaborating, getting both parties to work together to find a genuinely mutual win.
But hold on. Before you can even try to resolve the issue, you absolutely must practice active listening. You can't just walk in and mandate a fix. You've got to ask open discovery questions. You need to summarize and reflect their frustrations right back to them. Like, okay, I hear you suggesting a solution that involves X. And most importantly, you have to withhold judgment. Both parties have to walk away feeling like they were truly heard.
Now, if tensions really start boiling over during these talks, it's time to deploy some de-escalation tactics. And the absolute most powerful trick here is the very first one, using we language. Just shifting the phrasing from "you did this" to "how do we solve this" works wonders. It reminds everyone in the room that you're a team fighting a shared problem, not just fighting each other.
That being said, we have to be realistic here. If collaboration completely breaks down and the project itself is on the line, you have to be ready to trigger a firm escalation timeline. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a structural necessity. Phase 1 is laying out clear consequences. If that doesn't work, Phase 2 means bringing in someone higher up the chain, like a project sponsor. And in truly extreme cases, Phase 3 means bringing in professional mediators to protect the integrity of the project. To wrap things up, I really want to tie all these tracking frameworks, status templates, and QA plugins back to one absolute core truth from the Agile Manifesto. Individuals and interactions take precedence over processes and instruments. Seriously, think about that. Your brilliant PowerPoint reports and clever Figma plugins are totally useless if your team's fundamental human interactions are toxic or broken. We've covered a ton of ground today, right? From aligning visions and framing up status reports to using visual QA tools and de-escalating team conflicts. So now that you've got this tactical Day 1 PM toolkit fully loaded, the real question is, how are you going to wield these tools to define your own unique management style and lead your next team to victory? Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and seriously, good luck out there on Day 1.